Hello, welcome back. This is another video. As promised, it's the components I told you about earlier, about the digital command control. These are the basic steps, I'd say, to general operation for the computer. But this is just a quick summary. This is a latch up that took about 2.5 hours, but I'll show you the details in a minute. Sorry about the shakes. I am running on the camera, which does automatically stop now and then. But yeah, I'll try and avoid that as best I can, but I'll make sure general things. It's a decent video, but either case I'll make sure the battery's full. But I'll walk you through the different components you can see here. But yeah, let's have a look, shall we? Right, so let's come over here to our first important part. Not necessarily, I mean there's some serial ports you can use with NCE systems, but I'm using this just for the sake of it. The ease of putting it to my current components is quite a thing of speciality. This is the USB controller, and its model number, it doesn't have a model number, it's just called a USB interface. What it does is you see it better there you go. Basically speaks for itself. That's a USB cable, that's the cab bus connected to one of the control buses over there with the cab bus. That one there. See that? Yeah, you can see that. Yep. Basically when you put in a cab, PowerCab, ProCab, whatever, it will act like a basic cab. Well, not really basic, it depends on your program. But yeah, that's the first component I used. Second component is quite important for running the tracks, and that's the component we saw earlier with the USB bus. You see that there? That's the command station. Came with the basic PowerCab. I don't have a command station yet, but I'd like to, because I like the serial port. I would like to take advantage of the booster as well. What this does is it runs your track power, so controls the power going to this, basically. 2 amps if I remember correctly. But yeah, this is your minimum. This plus this, the controller, it'll get you through to a small track, a couple of trains at most. But it's doing me for this setup at the minute. I'm having a few problems with this little steam engine, but I'll show you in the later video. You'll see it happen. It's probably the pickups rather than the actual tracks or the power itself, but I'll run through it. So next component. The next component is the switch-it. Let's get a better shot of this. There you go. It's a switch-it. It runs the solenoid dual motor switch machines I have. There's Pico ones you can get in the UK. They are very reliable. I'd say they would, but depends on everyone else. They work like a charm. It has the accessory switch provided with it, so it provides track power. The only problem is there's no feedback with the switch-it. I'm not carrying at the moment. This is just a test demonstration for you guys out there deciding. I will give feedback in general later on, but yeah, this is the switch-it. No, it's probably a snap-it. It could be a snap-it. My mistake. Yeah, it's I'll put it in the description either way, just tell you what I'm using. But it controls the dual motor switch machines you see here. It's very good. So far so good. I've only had about 2 failures to switch properly, but that's negligible. It's something I wouldn't worry about too much. I could probably fix that with a different kind of manufacturer, because there is a small problem, or there's a couple, depending on the actual interface and what you want to do with it. But I'll get on to that later. But yeah, that's the decoder, accessory decoder for the machine. They only come in one switch machine for that model. I know the other one, it could be the switch-it, if I've got it right. That's for the tortoise stone motor switch machines. They come in 8s, so they can control 8 different turnouts. Works out about $4, so roughly £3 a pop. £3 an accessory decoder. It works out pretty well when you're paying £15 for the switch motor itself. That's ideal. But let's move on. Now this little doohickey right here is the AIU-01. It's basically a controller for the, well, I'd say controller. It's more like an input, a master input. It's got 14 inputs. It takes sensors, block detectors, as you can see here. A few other things I haven't really tried out, but I'm guessing you could probably take some other things. For example, make a feedback for that, but we'll see about that. I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but that could provide some sort of feedback for those kind of motors. It's not important, like I said, at the minute, but later on when I start experimenting seriously, when all this has been removed and we start building again, I'll look into it and I'll do some more videos. But at the minute, for what it is, it's really good, I'd say. The only problem is my EEPROM is too old. So you want to use computer control with a USB, you're not going to have much luck with this little thing here. It needs to be version 6 and above, I believe it was, because I'm using JMRI on the computer. But I'll get to that as well. So it will not pick this up. I've put it in different addresses and it's just showing up on the tracks I've written down on the program. It could just be me showing up on indifferent. It's not showing any feedback. It's not picking up the sensors properly as it would like with this one. It just picked up this accessory decoder automatically. But with this now it's having troubles. Like I said, on the website, look it up. Especially if you've got a PowerCab with a USB interface and it's under not version 6 or above, look at that. But yeah, at the minute it does me good. It's a feedback. It gives me feedback for these block detectors right here. One's wired to here, another's wired to there, another's wired to there, but I'll get to those in a minute. But yeah, that's the inputs controller for the sensors. Gives them a little location accessory address so they can pick it up. Feedback for the system itself, I'd say. But yeah, and then going on to the final piece. The final piece are these three little things, the BD20s. Now what these do, these are separate from the DCC system, unlike the ARU one, which has a connection. These are totally separate. They're not connected to the track. Well, they're not directly connected to the track. They read off the track power, the track common in this case, and they just are basically block occupancy detectors. I've got, like I said, I wired it up to a tracks. I may have been a bit silly wiring up the same feeder to the turnouts as well as this one block here. That's my problem. I'll deal with that at a later date. But I'd say for what they are okay. For what they are £10 a pop, and you've got to have one of these as well. It's kind of an interface. They do their job. They're quite sensible. If you can get them really cheap, I'd advise them, especially with one of these, and you've got a serial port, and you've got the up-to-date EEPROM, etc, etc, etc. But for my standards, I'd say they wouldn't be too good, because they are very expensive for this small problem with the computer interface I want. That aside, as soon as the EEPROMs are upgraded, there should be no problem, and I can feedback the testing on this. But like I said, going back, I wouldn't have bought this or them. I would have gone with a different manufacturer. But that aside, not Digitrax. I'm looking at CTI Electronics in a minute. They look good to me because they have one thing NCE doesn't have in a minute. Is a signal control board. Signal control boards are key here because I'd like to have some signals on the main line, just for feedback and integrations, and all sorts of stuff I'd like to put on the layout. Crossing signals, all sorts of things. None here with the NCE system. But put aside that, you're looking at great occupancy, a great decoder, interface okay if you've got updated version. If not, tough luck. But no, I would recommend them if you can get them for cheap and they do their job. Read the descriptions of the manufacturer's release, NCE, and you should be fine. I mean, if you're using this, demonstrating this, I've got a couple of videos to show you. I'll make a few here and put them in this one to demonstrate. I've made some of the steam engine, especially showing the error I told you about, where it loses power. It loses complete power for about, oh, until I move it or touch it, really. So it could be dirty wheels, I'd say. I've cleaned the track. It may not look that clean in a minute, but I've definitely cleaned it. So yeah, that's the system I'm using in the minute. It's really good for what it is, I must say. It's just a shame it doesn't work with the computer face I'm using. Here, let me show you. Yeah, okay, let's go. It's my little laptop. Plugged in, USB interface. Little wireless mouse down there. Right, let's get a good picture of the screen. Right, what do we have here? Over here, throttle. And this was previously set up with the steam engine over there. But what I'm going to do here, take my wireless mouse and release number 3 and put in the current engine 6552, set, and it should all change. So maybe, no, hang on. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Cut off. So what happened was we had selected the loco. We select the loco here, and then set, and then we need to reset the function. So we go View, Reset Function Buttons. All I'll do is change the functions to here, to what I had already set. I haven't set these up yet. It's a simple Bachmann decoder. I use this loco and a couple others to test things out, but mainly this little engine here has been the full-on test. But let me show you what this can do. I've also got this turnout controller here. Let's demonstrate that first. So let's push that, and that's the turnout thrown. So it's now thrown. So yeah, thrown, and back to closed, and closed. So that's the decoder right there, interacting properly with the system. Reads it like it was an engine, but obviously it's not an engine, it's an accessory. We use an accessory decoder, but yeah. So let's just play a little while. So this one's going backwards, so reverse, put her up to speed. There's always something, isn't there? Stop and forward. There you go. Wires facing forward. Never mind. There we go. And stop. And then reverse. Full throttle. Half throttle. And then back to stop. And then throw the switch. And then go forward again. And we're good. Okay, and reverse. And back again. Here the functions, they work pretty well. But that's better. That's much better detailed with the steam engine because there's only a really light function. That's about it. That's simple things here. Let's just throw the switch to closed. And then we'll have to go with the steam engine. But this is JMRI. You can download it for free. Takes time to get used to, especially when you go further than this and this and this, but other than that, you just set it up according to what the details you've got. It does take a little while to get used to all the functions and setting up first time, you know, making sure the connection's right. But once you get there, it's quite a nifty device. But I need to show you one extra I find quite elusive. So let me just release this locomotive first to make sure there's no problems. Release. Okay, now it's no longer assigned to any steam engines. So what we're going to do is this. We are going to open up the wee word. So let's put in an address. 6556 set. So we are now properly assigned. So if we do this, look at that. One of my most favorite kind of things right there. I don't need to buy more controllers. You have a controller in your hand right now, and it's for free as well. Well, depends what you want with it, but let's go back. So this is basically, again, I can see this with the steam engine, but with the assignments I've made with the steam engine, they show up on here. So that's pretty good. I like that. That's a key point there. That's why I like JMRI. That's why I chose it in the first place, I think. I would recommend the control, at least JMRI. As for the components, let's get down to business. What would I recommend? Firstly, you've got setup is you've got dual motor switch machines with the accessories like that. Okay, that little device there could do you. Depends how much money you want to spend. I mean, there's not much feedback going on with regards to what it is. It's basically, it wires to the track, you give it some power, and it's gone, it's ready. About the ARU, when you get it working, it's great. I would say it would be great. It can give you feedback for your layout. I would say though, compared to some competitors, and they can take in a lot more blocks, and they only need, let's say, they have a bit more space for it as well. I would say this setup here is only for when you've got them on the cheap. You can get them cheaper than your competitors. I'm going with CTI personally. They look good. They support, for the price of these, one of these, they can have two detectors for two different districts. Different sections, should I say, proper terminology here, and then they wire into their own little controller, which is cheaper as well, which does more jobs, has more space, all sorts of things. In fact, I don't even have to choose block detectors. If I wanted to, I could go with sensors, and they can plug in sensors here. I know you can plug sensors here, but again, it's entirely up to you. I mean, with JMRI, you can have multiple systems wired into this, and they all run within each other, as long as you've got the proper connectors and proper interfaces. That's the main point. Without the proper interface and connectors, you're not going anywhere. But aside from that, the only major problem I have with this system is the limitations of the USB device when your cab is at a certain version. There are still some limitations. You look on the website, that's a red flag to me, because looking at CTI electronics, there's very little besides having a serial COM port. I can run a serial port from the CTI components. It's called an Accessory, I believe it is, and you can put on a USB adapter, so it'll go straight into a USB there, and then just have a serial port going from the command station for here into the computer straight from the serial port. That aside, good little thing. It's working reliably. I've only had a couple of problems. Again, that's with the steam engine, so it could just be with the steam engine itself rather than the system. But I would recommend it if you're looking to get these kind of components. I would recommend the interface if you've got version 1.6 or above, because you can't go wrong with that. But then aside from that, if you've got a command station, use a serial port. No need to have this little thing here. This is just a temporary measure. I will get a command station myself. I just like the idea of having a booster and a command station with a power track output, and then running it from there. I don't like the idea of having this connector here running across and going into the command station itself. I would like a different command bus, a different command setup, but that's me entirely. If you want to go with this, that's cool. Just make sure you look at the JMRI website and look at the limitations of this system here. Aside from that, I'm not seeing any further issues. I would recommend the devices if you can get them for a little bit cheaper than what they are. I got it myself. This is just a test, so I'm not going to go buy in bulk. When I buy in bulk, I'll make sure I've got the right choice. I've made tests with their devices first before going forward. I will do that next with CTI Electronics. So that will probably happen next year, but I'll give you some information either way. Following this video will be the steam engine running. No real point of showing the test engine. That's just a test engine. The lights aren't that good either. You probably can't see them. No, you probably... No, it's not the best. Yeah, but no, this is my little test setup. So what I could do, I could take these components off, I could sell them on, because I'm not that attached to them, apart from maybe the USB interface. I might keep that, and the decoder there, the accessory decoder. I like that decoder. It was quite easy to wire up. But then again, if I get another decoder, then I may just keep it. But we'll see how we do. I mean, I would like to get the EEPROM first, then try it again, then provide another review to see how they interact with each other, if it works. I mean, I'm not sure I can do a proper panel on here on JMRI with such a small layout. I'll probably have to wait until I get another loop gone and complete before I do some serious tests. But that's next year probably. I won't get that far ahead within the next 20 days, is it? Until Christmas, until the end of the month. Less than that even, isn't it? But no, that's the general gist of it. Following this, like I said, is a steam engine. I hope you enjoyed. Any questions, post comments, and want me to do further tests, feel free. I mean, there's not much else I can buy apart from the macro runner, which serves no purpose if I've got this. Especially if I can set it up later on. I made no promises, scratch your head, don't depend on me. Buy it later and see how it does. But again, that's just money I don't want to spend too much on. Just looking at general setups. I mean, this setup was quite easy. It took me 2.5 hours to set up completely from track over there. Let me show you where it came from. Even the point motor was from there. So we took the point motor and the actual point itself, and then we took some flex track, cut it up to pieces, massacred it, and that's how we got to this stage. This is my little test track. Could make it into a programming track later on, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not fussed really. The next video should start with dismantling. Some less waffling, less talking, a general introduction, and then getting straight on to dismantling with a quick speed by video. And I'll hopefully find some music so it's not completely silent. I don't like silence too well on my videos. You've probably seen that a lot. The gaming videos especially. I like the gaming videos where they got some sort of noise going on with them. That's quite good. There's no need to commentary those as well. But apart from that, I think that's everything. I will see you soon. Feel free to comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching.